Hey guys, it's Jaya and I am back with another video for my Authorpreneur Series here on YouTube. So this video, as you guys can tell by the title, is called How to Title a Book. Funny because we're going to talk about titles. So if you are someone that is struggling with coming up with a title for your book, stay tuned and let's keep watching. So first thing I would say about how to title a book is let's talk about the elements of a title. So typically with a title, you'll see things like the character's name or maybe something that the character learns or some type of adjective. There's so many little elements that you'll see in a title of a book. Now, of course, I'm a children's book author, but the things that we're gonna talk about today could go for someone that might be writing a novel or adult romance or anything. A title is a title. I mean, there are certain things that I will say in this video pertaining more to children's books, but in general, there's lots of elements when it comes to breaking down a title. So first thing I will say, like I just said, is the character's name. Many books that you look at, it literally has the character's name, like Harry Potter. That's the main character's name, and then you see the subtitles. So that is pretty much, or the rainbow fish that we talk about, or Clifford the Big Red Dog, or you know, or No David, where literally the book, the main character is the name of the book. So that's very common. For my books, I literally, when people say, what are your books called? I just say the Jada and Jaden series, because the two main characters' names, Jada and Jaden. Now, another thing that people like to add in books is book titles is adjectives. So for example, I have two of my books here. This one says The Stinky Smelly Day. So that pretty much is describing what type of day they had. So I use silly words such as stinky and smelly. So like I said, when it comes to a children's book, I use stinky and smelly because those are kid appropriate, they're silly, and it's simple adjectives. So you could say the pretty girl learns ballet, or like the super silly kid. Like, these are fun adjectives. It's describing and it's giving you kind of that heads up of what the book is going to be about. So really play around with different adjectives. For this one, for Jada and Jaden, the great big messy room, you see the adjectives I used were great, big, messy. So right off the bat, those are simple, they're to the point, they're describing what kind of room they have and how this could possibly be an issue. So definitely, after you've written your book, write down some adjectives that describe either maybe the character or describe something that they went through. So really play around with different adjectives because those are perfect when creating a title for your book. All right, so the next thing is lessons. So a lot of people like to include lessons in their titles. So they could be saying things like Tisha learned to say sorry, or Tisha's big day, or you know, it's kind of like whatever your lesson is in this book, you can also incorporate that in the story, or about lying, or the big mean bully. So now we're saying, oh, this book is going to teach a lesson about bullying, or this book is teaching about how to not tell lies or to be kind. So that's also kind of going in with the adjectives, but you're describing like the mistake or the lesson or what this book is going to be about, and you're picking one word that you can include in the title. All right, so the next thing is attention grabber. So I love this because when I think of popular series like The Hunger Games, you automatically see like, oh, what is this about? Like, what is The Hunger Games? Is this, you know, going to be with danger or serious, or, you know, like we think of things like that. Like those titles that just kind of grab you like right off the back of like, have you asking those questions of what's gonna happen. Or we know, like when we're in the library, we're in Barnes and Noble's, like we look at the cover and we look at the title and we're like, once you read that title, does this grab my attention? Does this make me just want to say, I want to learn more? Like, I want to know what is about to happen. So that's what I would definitely say when it comes to titling and those attention grabbers. My next thing, like I said, going back to a children's book, is keep the title simple. So I noticed with a lot of children's books, the titles are very easy. Like if you were Give a Mouse a Cookie, the rainbow fish, the very hungry caterpillar. Like I said, these meet all the elements. They have titles, they have those kind of attention, like, oh, what's gonna happen? They're easy to read, so you know right off the bat we're not using super big words that someone, you know, if we're marketing this book to an 8 and under, a little kid can pick up my book and just clearly read Jade the Great Big Messy Room. And I'm saying that because I didn't say the non-sanitary, I didn't use like words that are like 8 letters or more. Like I use simple sight words. And also, you can make your titles pretty short. Like your titles don't have to be super long. That's why I brought up earlier the example of No David, because literally 2 words to the point, extremely popular book here on YouTube. So definitely look at these for examples. Now, the other thing I was going to say, and I talked about this in another video on how to write a children's book series, is I understand like a lot of times when we look at books that are series, they have the 2 titles. So the title, like I said, sometimes I refer to my books as Jada and Jaden, or like how we said earlier, you have the Hunger Games, you have Harry Potter, you have Twilight, where this is the main title of the book, where when you say that first part, everybody knows what book you're talking about. But then you go into deeper and someone might say, oh, well, which book are you on, or which one have you read, or, you know, so it's kind of giving that this is the title of the series, and then that subtitle kind of talks about what's going to happen in this story. So I use my books, for example, of what separates them is that I have the name of the series and then I have the subtitle, which is with that I would take those elements and make something short to where you know, okay, this book is going to be about this, but as you guys can see, it's still featuring the same characters and it still kind of falls in line with the previous books from the series. So after you've kind of figured out all of those elements and you're still just like, okay, I've written down my lesson, I've written down my characters' names, I've written down the adjectives, how do I pull this all together to put this in like 3 to 4 words? So that's where I like to do this activity called a brain dump. So with a brain dump, you're pretty much just dumping out everything that's on your brain. So you grab a simple notebook and you just write it out. So play around with titles. Do you want it to be Troy learns a lesson, Troy's first day of school, Troy the angry kid, or you know, like you play around, you grab that list of adjectives, grab those things and think about your book. So I always tell people, write your story first, because you don't want to sit there on a title, because then you might be able to pull stuff from the story you already wrote and you can just kind of pull from that. So that's why I like the story, The Scarlet Letter. The Scarlet Letter was a big symbol in the book, and they could have named that book so many times, so many different things. They could have talked about witches, they could have talked about virginity, they could have named that book so many things, but as you guys can see, it makes you feel like, what is the Scarlet Letter? What did that have to do with the story? So that's why I always say, write your book first, so have your story complete, and then you pull from those elements in your story. And when you're coming up with a title, don't forget to be creative. Like, the title should not be something that you are like struggling on for days. I don't know anyone that's ever told me they were struggling with their title, but I believe that it can sometimes be hard. So that's definitely why I wanted to kind of show you guys that it doesn't have to be hard. And especially if you're like me, you're doing something with children, keep it short and simple. Like, your story, once we start reading, we're gonna fall in love. So just really think of something creative, something to the point, something that really grabs the reader's attention and kind of gives us a little hint to what the story is going to be about without really just like completely giving it away. With that being said, I hope this video really helped you guys with how to write a title. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to comment what type of videos would you guys like me to do as a part of my Authorpreneur series. And thank you guys so much for watching.